We're on the Gemara in Kuf Tes Vav, about 7-8 lines into the Amud. We begin where it says Amar Avine. This is the Gemara today that will discuss the halachas of kairech, the source of kairech and the machlekes, whether you have to do kairech or not. Talk the Gemara Amar Avine. Amar li Rav Mesharshie berei de Rav Nosson. Rav Mesharshie berei de Rav Nosson said to me, Hochi Amar Hillel. This is what Hillel said, Mishmei the Gemara. In the name of a tradition that he had. This Hillel that it mentions here is not Hillel Azokin, the Tana, but this is Hillel, which was an Amayra. So he said, Le nichrach inish matzah umare bahadi adadi. Today, you cannot wrap matzah and maror and eat them together to be mekayim the mitzvah of matzah and maror together. Why not? V'neichel, and to eat them together. Mishum the svir alone, because the halacha we paskin is matzah bezman hazeh da'iraisa. The matzah that we eat today is an obligation minatayra. As the Gemara brings, we'll learn soon, be'erev toichlu matzahs. Regardless if you have a carbon pesach or not, the matzah is minatayra. Marer derabanan, but the marer that we eat today is only a mitzvah miderabanan, because the mitzvah minatayra of marer is only in a time when there's a carbon pesach. Now, what's the problem? V'asi marer derabanan. So the marer, which is only miderabanan, comes umevatole lamatzah deiraisa, and will be mevatel, will take away from the taste of the matzah. It interferes with the mitzvah of matzah that you're eating. So therefore, you're not fulfilling your mitzvah of matzah. In other words, the klal is if you're mixing something else in your mouth when you're eating matzah, which is not a mitzvah, or a shus, something which is a shus, together with the matzah, it's mevatel the mitzvah of matzah. So if the matzah would be a mitzvah minatayra just like the matzah, so then as the Gemara here will bring, a mitzvah is not mevatel another mitzvah. So two mitzvahs, to mix them together is not an issue. But since the matzah is only a mitzvah midrabanan, so minatayra there's no mitzvah to eat matzah, so the matzah takes away from the taste of the matzah, it's mevatel the matzah. It interferes with the mitzvah of the matzah. So b'zman hazeh you can't eat matzah and matzah together. Even the opinion that holds that when you eat two mitzvahs together in your mouth, they are not mevatel one another. The Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch says the reason is because it's all mitzvahs of Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's the Eibishter's mitzvahs. One mitzvah can't be mevatel another mitzvah. It's all the Eibishter's mitzvahs. So in other words, the point over here is the problem really is not the taste, that we're eating the maror together with the matzah minimizes the taste. Even though the Rashbam does say that lashon here, that the issue is the tam of the matzah, but the issue really is that when you have something else that's not a mitzvah, so it detracts from the mitzvah. There's a fulfillment of a mitzvah and there's something else that's being mafsik, which is not a mitzvah. But if the maror itself is also a mitzvah, then it's kula mitzvahs of Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and therefore it doesn't take away. There's a ha'ara from the Rebbe in a sich in Chelik Chavav in Parshas Ve'era. In the first sikh, I believe it is, in the end of the sikh, the Rebbe there points out that it can't be just the taste which is the issue. Because if the taste is the issue, then it wouldn't matter if it's one mitzvah with another mitzvah, or it's a mitzvah with something else which is not a mitzvah. Elamai, it's the fact that it's not a mitzvah, so there's the din that it detracts from the hefts of the matzah, because there's a reshus that's being a hefsek here. But if it's a mitzvah with a mitzvah, so then there's one mandama that holds that it's not an issue. So, but immediately when is that true? Dairaisa b'dairaisa. When you have two mitzvahs that are both a mitzvah minatayra, so then they don't interfere with one another. Or derabanan b'derabanan, or two mitzvahs which are both miderabanan, so again they don't interfere. Avol dairaisa v'derabanan, but if one mitzvah is minatayra and another mitzvah is only miderabanan, so asi derabanan or maftalele dairaisa. The issue is that the mitzvah miderabanan, which minatayra is not a mitzvah, will interfere with the mitzvah minatayra that you're fulfilling. So therefore, b'zman hazeh, you cannot be mekayim the mitzvah of matzah when you eat it together with matzah. So why do we do kairech b'zman hazeh if so? The Gemara will explain. Let's see. So first the Gemara brings the source of this opinion that says that mitzvahs are not mevatel one another. Man, tana deshamet le mitzvahs ein mevatel zu azu. Who is the opinion that says that mitzvahs are not mevatel one another? Hillel he. It's the Tana Hillel. The Tanya we learned in the Braise, Amru Olav al Hillel. It was said about Hillel in the time of the Beis Hamikdash, Shahaya Kercham bevasachas vaychlan, that he would wrap together all three, as the Rashbam here, the Rashi and Rashbam here say, he would wrap together Pesach, Matzah, and Maror, all three together and eat them. Shenemar al Matzah u'meroirim yechluhu. That you eat, the pasuk is going on the carbon Pesach there, and it says that the carbon Pesach should be eaten together with the matzah and maror, so it has to be wrapped all three together. There are some Rishonim, this is Rashi and Rashbam's opinion, that they would wrap Pesach matzah and Maror together. The Rambam, however, says that they would only eat the matzah and the Maror together. You would eat the Pesach, and then afterwards it's only the matzah and Maror that he ate together, like we do it today. Only matzah and Maror together. Okay, so if Hillel would do this, Bisman Shabbos Mikdash Kayim, to wrap them all three together, so what do you see from here? That he holds that mitzvahs are not mevatel one another. Therefore, he would eat them together. Thing is, though, Tosfos, the Rishonim asked the question, what's the raya from here that mitzvahs are not mevatel one another? Maybe usually they are. But here the pasuk is specifically saying, al matzos u'merodim yechlu, that you should eat it all together. So isn't this pasuk telling you a special chiyuv that over here it's different than every other place, that you have to eat it together? So there's different answers. The Rishonim answer, the Rabbeinu David and other Rishonim say that no, Adarabah. This is taka the source to the fact that in Kol HaTorah Kula mitzvahs ein mevatel zu zu. Just like you see that the Torah says here regarding the matzah and the Maror, or even the Pesach as well, according to Rashi, that all three have to be eaten together, even though the chayre that takes away from one another, it's making a hefsek in your mouth, but nevertheless, from here I learn out for Kol HaTorah Kula that mitzvahs are not mevatel one another. That's the opinion of Hillel. But on this, some Rabbi Yochanan came and said, Chelkin Olav Chaveirav El Hillel. The Hillel's friends argued on him, and they held that mitzvahs are mevatel one another. The Tanya, because it said in the Braisa, Yochel Yekerchem Bevasachas Vayichlan. I would think that you should wrap the Pesach matzah and Maror together and eat them at once. K'derech shehillel eichlon, the same way Hillel ate it. Talmud Loima, so the pasuk says, Al matzah u'merodim yechluhu. That you eat it even separately, the matzah and the Maror separately. So the Rashbam says, from the very same pasuk, that Hillel learned out that it has to be eaten together, al matzah u'merodim yechlu, because it goes on the Korban Pesach, and it all has to be eaten together. So the Rabbanon, that his friends that argued on Hillel, said that it says the hey and the vav in the end of the pasuk are extra. It could have said al matzah u'merodim yechlu. And I would understand that it means eating with the Korban Pesach. Because right before that it says in the pasuk, V'ochlu es habasa, eat the meat of the Korban Pesach. And then it says, Al matzos u'merodim yechlu. So why does it have to say yechlu hu? The yechlu hu comes to say that you eat each one separately. So since you have to eat each one separately, I see from here that Chaveirav of Hillel held that mitzvahs are mevatel one another. And therefore the mitzvah, how you eat the matzah and Maror, is to eat each one separately. That's what Rabbi Yochanan said. But on this, Maskefla Ravashi asked Rabbi Yochanan on this, how could you say that the Chaveirav of Hillel argued on him and said that mitzvahs are mevatel one another? Ihachi maya filu. They say the term that they use is afilu, that you even can eat it separately, but not that you must eat it separately. You could eat it together as well. So you see that even the Chaveirav of Hillel also held, like Hillel, that mitzvahs are not mevatel one another. You have an option. You have a choice to eat it together or eat it separately. So how could you say that they held that mitzvahs are mevatel zeh? So even if you see over here that they argue on Hillel regarding how the mitzvah of al matzos u'merodim yechlu is fulfilled, right? Because you see that Hillel holds that they must be eaten together. That's what it seems like. That's what most Rishonim hold, that the matzah and Maror must be eaten together in order to be yetzer the mitzvah of Maror. Mashenken Chaveirav of Hillel held afilu. It could be eaten together and it could be eaten separately. So as far as that is concerned, yes, we see a machlokes here. But as far as the issue of whether mitzvah are mevatel zeh or not, the fact that Chaveirav shel Hillel hold that you could eat it together means that they hold that mitzvahs are not mevatel one another. That was the question that Ravashi asked and Rabbi Yochanan. So therefore he disagrees, and Elam and Ravashi says, Hi Tana Hachi Katani. This Tana is saying as follows: I would think you're not yetzer the mitzvah of matzah and Maror unless you eat it together. Exactly the way Hillel would eat it together. That you may eat it separately. You can eat it together, but you could eat it separately as well. So therefore they're not really arguing on Hillel in this sense. Hillel holds that you must eat it together, and they hold that you could eat it together, but you also could eat it separately. So according to Rav Ashi's opinion, as far as the concept of mitzvahs, mevatel zeh, everybody holds that mitzvahs are not mevatel one another. As far as the obligation of how you have to eat the mitzvah of Maror, Hillel holds that you must eat it together, and Chaveirav shel Hillel held that you could eat it together, but you could eat it separately as well. You have a choice. That's l'chayda the simple pshat here in the Gemara according to Rav Ashi. There are other Rishonim that disagree with this. Taisus over here says that the Emes says that even according to Hillel, this that he says over here, that Hillel will eat it together, it's only l'chatchila, or as other Rishonim put it, it's a mitzvah min ha-mufcher. But even Hillel agrees to the Rabbana that you don't must eat the matzah and maror together in an oifen of kairach. So really in that sense, there's not much of a machlokes here between Hillel and the Chaved of Shel Hillel regarding how you eat the mitzvah of maror. Okay, but many Rishonim do say, and this is the way the Alter Rebbe brings in a Shulchan Aruch as well, that according to Hillel, you must eat the matzah and maror together. It's liikuve. It's not just that you could, but it's ma'akev, that you must eat it together. And Chaved of Shel Hillel held that you have a choice. You can eat it together or you can eat it separately. That's according to Rav Ashi. However, Rabbi Yochanan disagreed with this. The Gemara before quoted, what did Rabbi Yochanan say? Rabbi Yochanan said that no, Chaved of Shel Hillel argued and said that mitzvahs and mevatle zeh, and you must eat the matzah and the maror separately. The fact that it said in the Braisa the term afilu, which was the question of Rav Ashi, it's a question. Okay, there's answers to that. But Rabbi Yochanan's opinion was that you must eat it separately. So now, according to the Rashbam's Pshat in our Gemara, the continuation of the Gemara here is going to be according to Rabbi Yochanan's opinion. That there's a real machlokes here between the Rabbanon and Hillel. Hillel holds you must eat it together, and the Rabbanon hold you must eat it separately. And on that the Gemara says, so now, since regarding this machlokes between Hillel and the Rabbanon, the halacha of who we paskened like was not given. So we don't know who the halacha is like. So what do we have to do bisman hazeh? How do we eat matzah and maror? First, you have to eat matzah separately, according to everybody. Even Hillel would agree to that, because as we began in the beginning, bisman hazeh maror is midrabanan. So even Hillel would agree you can't eat right in the beginning the maror together with the matzah, because the maror will be mevatel the matzah. So you first eat matzah separately. And then you eat maror separately, and you make a bracha al achilas maror, and you have to eat it separately. And why are you doing this? This is only according to the Rabbanan. If you would be following Hillel, immediately after eating matzah, you would eat the maror and the matzah together to be mekayim the mitzvah of maror that must be done with the kairach, with the maror and matzah together. But we want to be yaitze the opinion of Rabbanan as well. So first we eat the maror separately. And you can't eat the matzah together with the maror according to the Rabbanan, because once you ate the matzah before, now the matzah is not a chiyuv min ha-Torah anymore. So you're going to eat the matzah together with the maror. The matzah will now be mevatel the maror. So you have to eat the maror separately. And then, and then you're going to eat the matzah and maror afterwards together without a bracha. You already made the bracha before. You're having in mind to be yaitze, the bracha before should go also on the kairech, and now you're going to be yaitze Hillel's opinion to eat the maror and the matzah together, zeicha lemikdash kehillel, a zeicha to fulfill the mitzvah of maror according to Hillel. According to Hillel, you have to eat it again because you weren't yaitze the mitzvah of maror before. Right, so that's the way we do it today.
But they did it only for the Pesach, for the Korban Pesach.
Correct.
Hillel only
did this when he had the Korban Pesach. Okay, so
it has nothing to do with
very good point. So the question that you asked just answered the question that he asked.
That's what
okay. So let me just explain this very bekitzer over here. That the Gemara here says Zeichel Mikdash Kehillel. So some Mefarshim say the Bach says the exact point that you said. That really, even according to Hillel, Kairech Bizman Hazeh is not something which we can do, because the whole Kairech is dafk if you have the Pesach, all three, but we don't have the Pesach Bizman Hazeh. So why are we doing Kairech Bizman Hazeh? So the emes is Bizman Hazeh. Even Hillel would agree that you just eat the maror separately, and you yaitze the mitzvah with the rabbanon of maror by eating the maror separately. We eat the matzah and the maror together afterwards, just to commemorate the way Hillel did it then. And we have two of the ingredients and not three, so it's just as a commemoration. And that's why the Gemara emphasizes Zeichel and Mikdash Kehillel, because be'emes, even according to Hillel, you were already yaitze your mitzvah of maror when you ate the maror separately. That's the Bach's pshat in this Gemara. However, the Alter Rebbe disagrees. The Alter Rebbe says that even according to Hillel Bizman Hazeh, when you don't have the Korban Pesach, you're not yaitze the mitzvah of maror until you eat the kairech, the matzah, and the maror together.
Because that's how he felt when basically make the Shayakayim.
That what? That they ate?
It wasn't, but because Hillel wasn't opinion was not that you have to eat the maror because you're eating the Pesach together. It's because you have to eat it together with the matzah. That's why.
So as I mentioned, so let me explain this. So as I mentioned before, right, the shit of the Rambam that says that even Bisman Shabbos Hamikdash Kayam, they only ate the matzah and maror together,
right,
and not the Pesach. But here's the thing, that's the Rambam's opinion. But the Alter Rebbe and Shulchan Aruch clearly says that the mitzvah of Kairach is to eat all three together. Bisman Shabbos Hamikdash Kayam. The Alter Rebbe spells it out clearly. Bisman Shabbos Hamikdash Kayam, they would eat all three together, Pesach, matzah, and maror. And nevertheless, Bisman Hazeh, according to Hillel, only if you eat the matzah and the maror together are you yotze the mitzvah of maror. And the reason is because according to the Alter Rebbe, the main point of Kairach, according to Hillel, is to combine the various mitzvahs that you have tonight. If you have three, it'll be all three. If you have two, it'll be two. That's the point of what the Torah is saying when it says al matzah and yechlu. So therefore, you're not yotze the mitzvah of maror today until you eat Kairach together. So according to the Alter Rebbe, it's a little bit difficult to understand why we emphasize Zeichel and Mikdash Kehillel here in the Gemara. The Yama says, "Benegeh to the nusach that we say, Kei nasa Hillel b'zman shabbos Mikdash Kayam." In the Welt, when they say that nusach, they conclude Zeichel and Mikdash Kehillel, and we don't say it. In our nusach, we don't say Zeichel and Mikdash Kehillel. So the Rebbe says in the Haggadah, the reason is because according to the Alter Rebbe, we're eating the maror. And it's a chiyuv, according to Hillel, to eat the maror today, just like according to the Rabbanan, it's a chiyuv to eat the maror separately, it's a chiyuv to eat the kairach together, according to Hillel. So therefore we don't emphasize Zeichel and Mikdash Kehillel. But the interesting thing that comes out according to the Alter Rebbe, and the Rebbe emphasizes this in the Haggadah, is that according to Hillel, there's a second chiyuv of matzah when you eat the kairach. Meaning, the way the Alter Rebbe understands the concept of kairach is, it's about combining mitzvahs. Once you ate the matzah the first time, you were yotze the mitzvah of matzah. You can eat the matzah a second time, it's really not a mitzvah of matzah anymore. Chachamim had to establish a second mitzvah of matzah. The Rebbe uses the Lashon Haggadah, chiyuv matzah sheni. They established a second chiyuv of matzah in order to be able to fulfill the mitzvah of kairach. The only way you can fulfill kairach is by combining mitzvahs. So they established a second mitzvah of matzah. So now you have a mitzvah of matzah midrabanan, a mitzvah of maror midrabanan, and you combine the two for the mitzvah of kairach. Mashenkin, according to other opinions, they didn't create a new mitzvah of matzah. You were yotze the mitzvah of matzah. Kairach is just about bringing matzah along with maror. It doesn't have to be another mitzvah. It's not about combining mitzvahs. The Alter Rebbe, however, holds that the mitzvah of kairach is about combining two mitzvahs together, and therefore they made a new mitzvah of matzah in order to be able to fulfill the mitzvah of kairach.
Why do we go out of our way to follow Das Yochid?
So over here, for some reason, they didn't paskin. I mean, whatever reason is, they didn't paskin.
Oh, we always paskin by the hill, like for the lighting Hanukkah candles.
B'chlal, Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai, but right. Here it was Hillel and Chaveirov. Hillel and Chaveirov. It's not Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai, it's Hillel and Chaveirov. But for some reason, the halacha was not paskin, and that's why we have to be yotze both opinions. Okay, so this is the source of kairach. Here we see exactly the whole inyan. Sagt Gemara weiter, Amar Abelazar, Amar Rabbi Yishia, Kol shetibulei b'mashke tzarech netilas yadayim. Anything that's dipped into liquid, you have to wash your hands before you eat it. And the reason is because Chachamim were geyser, a person's hands have a halacha to be a sheni l'tumah, as Rashbam quote over here, and then the mashkin. Any mashke that touches anything that's tameh becomes a rishain l'tumah, and then you can become tameh. There's various different opinions in the Rishainim exactly what level of tumah we're concerned about, but the point is that you become tameh when you eat it, when your hands are wet, when you're touching it. So you have to wash your hands before you eat it. And this is relevant. This is the orchatz that we wash before we eat karpas, when we dip it into the salt water. So Rav Papa said, Shema Mina, from here I see that the lettuce that you eat, and as we saw before, sometimes you could even be using lettuce for karpas already, if you don't have any other vegetable. So you have to dip this lettuce, you have to completely dip it totally into the charaises, mishum kafa, and the reason why you dip it into charaises is because of the kafa. What's kafa? Rashi says that it was some kind of a sap that had a poison that was inside this vegetable and this in the lettuce that you have to get rid of through dipping it into the charaises. Rabbeinu Chananel says kafa is a telas, it's a worm that you want to get rid of this worm over there. So you have to completely dip it into the charaises. Because if you're going to say that it doesn't have to be totally immersed into the charaises, why do you have to wash your hands? You're holding on to the lettuce from a side where it's dry, and your hands will not become tummy. So why do you have to wash your hands? So the Gemara says, no, it's not a raya. V'dilme, perhaps, I'll tell you, it doesn't have to be completely immersed into the charaises. And so you may ask the question, if so, how are we getting rid of this kaffa? The kaffa mirechemais. This kaffa, whether it's a poison, whether it's a worm, it dies from the aroma, from the strong aroma that there is from the spices of the chareses. Ella lamalin atilis yadayim. So why do you have to wash your hands? Dilma meshakele. Because you may come to touch the liquid if you'll dip it in fully. You don't have to, but you might come to touch the liquid and then you'll become tamei and you'll make the food tamei. That's why you have to wash your hands even then.
They're washing it because of the chasser, because of the charesis.
Yeah, because the charesis is correct. Or today by karpas, the minig is that we dip it into salt water, and the issue is the water, the liquid, the mashkin that it is touching. Correct. Rav Papa said, "Lo nishi inish mara b'charesis." Don't leave your mara in the charesis for too long. Dilme agav chalye de tavlin, the strong taste of the spices that there are in the charesis. Maftule lemereida. It's going to take away the bitter taste of the mara. Ubeinon tam mara v'leka, and you have to have the bitter taste of the mara, and you won't have the bitter taste. Adberei Rav Chisda leRavana ukve. Rav Chisda taught Ravana ukve and v'dorash, and he said to him as follows. Natal Yadav betibul rishain. If you washed your hands by the tibul rishain, which is karpas, Natal Yadav betibul sheni. You have to wash your hands again when it comes to tibul sheni, which means before you eat matzah, and then you're going to eat the matzah. Rabbanan repeated this in front of Rav Papa, and they said, this statement of Rav Chisda had to have been said not regarding Pesach. It had to have been said regarding any other day of the year. If it was said regarding Pesach, why do you have to wash your hands twice? He washed his hands once. So on Pesach, by the Seder, you know your schedule. You know you're going to eat now karpas, and then that later on you're going to eat matzah and mara. So you know what you're planning on doing. So therefore, washing your hands once should be enough. Why do you have to wash again? And the rest of the year, and any day when you wash your hands once, and then you're not planning on eating again, to be table something again, or to wash bread for bread again, so then you would have to wash again, because it wasn't in your plan. So Amalahu, so Rav Papa responded to them and said, Amalu Rav Papa, no, Adarab, on the contrary. The statement of Rav Chisda must have been said regarding Pesach. It was said about Pesach. If it was said for every day of the year, where do you find every day of the year that you have to be taivel something twice? He's saying when you're taivel twice, you should wash twice. There's no such a mitzvah every day of the year. That's what we say. And the Manishtana, there's no matbil and shtei palmim every day of the year. Elamai hochetmer. So we go back to our question. So it was said regarding by the Seder, why do I have to wash my hands twice? He washed his hands once in the beginning. Shouldn't that be enough? So the Gemara answers, Amri, they gave the answer, Kivin the boyle meima. Agadata, Vahalila, since after washing the first time for karpas, you're going to say the Haggadah and half a halal in between, Dilma asuche ascheledaite, your mind may go off of being careful of where your hands are going, Vinoga, and your hands may touch an area which is unclean, and you have to wash your hands again. There's a time period separating in between long enough, and you're busy with other things, and therefore you have to wash your hands again. Omar Rava, going back to the mitzvah of matzah and mara, Rava said, Bola matzah, if you swallowed matzah without chewing it, and you didn't feel any of the taste of matzah, yotza, you yotza the mitzvah of matzah. Bola marer, however, if you swallowed marer, lo yotza, you're not going to be yotza the mitzvah of marer, because the whole mitzvah of marer is al shem shamaru chayayim. You have to feel the bitter taste of the marer. So if you just swallow it without feeling the taste, you're not yotza. Rashi actually has another gersa in the Gemara where it says Bola marer yotza, that you are yotza marer even if you didn't chew it. And Rashi says the reason is it's impossible, even if you don't chew the marer, not to feel any of the bitter taste of the marer when it enters into your mouth. And the Gemara says matzah bola matzah umarer. If you swallow the matzah together with the marer, yidei matzah yotza. The mitzvah of matzah you're yotza, but yidei marer lo yotza. The mitzvah of marer you're not yotza. Because the mitzvah of matzah, you're yaitze even without feeling any taste whatsoever. Right? But the mitzvah of marer, since you didn't chew it, in such a case when it's together, you're not going to feel the taste of marer at all, and therefore you're not going to be yaitze. Taisus here points out, didn't we just learn before, that there's an issue of marer being mevatel the matzah? If you're not going to be yaitze marer, so why isn't the marer mevatel the matzah like we said before? So Taisus says the answer is, marer is only mevatel matzah when you chew them together. chewing them together, so there's the taste of the two of them together, then it's mevatel one another. But if you swallow them, the matzah, be'emes matzah, you don't have to feel the taste. There's a sikha where the Rebbe explains, it's that same sikha I mentioned before in Chelik Chafov, in Parshas Veda. The Rebbe says the whole point of the matzah is that it's tasteless. You're not supposed to add any other ingredients to the matzah. The matzah represents the simple faith of Yidden, the Kabbalah Soil and the Amunah Pshuta of Yidden that has no flavor to it, no understanding and no taste to it. That's why the matzah yiyotzi, even if you just swallow it. Now, karchan b'siv, if you wrap matzah in a sieve, which is taken from the bark of a palm tree, and you wrap it, or let's say even today, you put the matzah into whatever kind of a wrapping, and you put it into your mouth, ubala, and you swallow it that way, afyidei matzah namilo yatsi. You're not yotzi the mitzvah of matzah. It's separating between your mouth and the matzah. It's like it was never in your mouth, so you're not yotzi b'chlal.
It has to be something that tastes.
No. This is not mitzvah the taste. This is because it's ki'ilu, it's not in your mouth. There's a chatzitza between your mouth and the matzah. It's as if you didn't eat it b'chlal. Rav Shimi Barashi said, matzah lefnei kol echad ve'echad. The matzah has to be in front of every single person. And matzah also lefnei kol echad ve'echad. The matzah should be given to every person separately. And v'charaisas lefnei kol echad ve'echad. And also the charaisas in front of each one separately. Taisus over here says that the reason is so that you should be able to make when you make the bracha, you should be able to taste from your matzah and maror immediately. Especially in those times, every person had their own separate table, so that it will take more time to pass around the matzah and maror to everyone. So therefore, everyone has to have their own matzah and maror in front of them, because if there's a birchas ha-mitzvah, you want to be able to taste it immediately. Rashba Meir says that in our times, when there's one large table, everyone's sitting around the same table, so it's much easier to pass it around quickly, so there's no issue. You don't have to have it in front of everyone. And then ve'ein oikrin es hashulchan ela lefnei misha'emer agada. At the beginning of the agada, when you say manashtana, you're supposed to uproot the table. Then they had actual little tables that they would take out. So when you take away that table, you don't have to take it away only in front of the one that actually says the Haggadah, and not in front of not from everybody else. Right, so the Gemara now will explain what's this inyan of removing the table. Rav Huna Amar in a moment. Rav Huna Amar kulu nami. All the things that we mentioned here, lifnei mishayim agada. The matzah, the maror, the chareis says, you don't have to have it in front of everyone. It's enough. The father of the house, for example, he's saying the agada, he has all the matzah and maror and chareis in front of him, and he distributes it to everyone. V'hilchase karavona. We pass him like Ravona. Now the Gemara explains, lama oikrin es hashulchan. Why do we uproot the table before you begin saying the agada, before manashtana? Amri de Bei Rabbi Yanai. So in the Shiva of Rabbi Yanai they said, K'dei sheyakiru tinaikis v'yishalu. So the children should see that there's something different tonight, and they'll ask the question, hey, why aren't we going and washing? Why aren't we eating the Suda right now? Why are we taking away the table? We didn't even eat yet. That's the Indian. Of course, our minig is not to uproot any table, and the Welt minig is by Heilach Man, they pick up the kaira. Some Rishonim say that when the Gemara here says Oikrin es hashulchan, it's referring to this minig of picking up the kaira by Heilach Manya. Taisus brings this minig here, but our minig is not to pick up the kaira. Our minig is to just cover the matzah, to uncover the matzahs, that is, by Heilach Manya. And then when you come to manashtana, you move away and you cover the matzahs. That's how we're mekayim the Oikrin es hashulchan, just by covering the matzahs. Gemara here brings the incident that happened then. Abaye, Rabbi Yosef, Kamei, the Rabbe. Abaye, when he was young, he was sitting by Rabbe. He was raised by Rabbe, and he was sitting by the Seder. Chazah the Kamadli Takem Kamei. He saw that they're removing the table. At the beginning of the Seder, they didn't eat yet. Amalohu, so he said, Adayin le Kachlinon. Also Kamekri Takem Kaman. We didn't eat yet, and you're already removing the table. Amalei Rabbe. Rabbe said, Patrasan Miloimar Manashtana. You asked this question. You don't have to ask the Manashtana anymore. You asked this question, and so the whole point is that the Haggadah has to be said b'derech shayla u'tshuva. So you already asked the question, we'll give you the answer, and we'll explain you what's unique tonight, and you can already say havadim ayinu. Taisus over here says that it doesn't mean that you don't have to ask the manashtana literally. What it means to say is that from this you'll come to ask the manashtana on your own, because you'll ask one question, it'll lead to ask another question, and you do still have to actually ask manashtana. But some Rishonim do learn pshat in the Gemara literally that you don't have to ask dafka these questions of manashtana. Once you ask this question about why you remove the table, so then you don't have to ask the manashtana. You part from manashtana, you can go on straight to avodim ayinu.